Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Peter Esesele, and in this video I have a very special guest, and then we'll introduce yourself a little bit.
Hello everyone, my name is Omozojie Paul Aigbogun, and I'm currently a PhD candidate in chemistry at the University of Saskatchewan.
Okay, so in this video we are going to talk about transferring from master's to PhD. I think this is really a very useful conversation and topic for those that are doing their masters and they want to actually transfer to a PhD, and then those that are probably they already have their masters and they are planning to do a PhD but they can't get a PhD, then they are starting with masters, so there's also that option of after maybe 1 year in your masters you can also transfer to a PhD. So Omo did it, so he will be in the best position. I didn't transfer, but I've seen, I've experienced it. In fact, I'm actually in a committee now in my department, the graduate program committee. So I'm part of those committee. We review people want to transfer from masters or PhD, they come and do presentation to us. So
really?
At least I can share that experience, and then you share as a committee member, and then
those applying to transfer.
Yeah. So how does it work? Maybe so this is for University of Saskatchewan. So it might be a little
chemistry
bit
department.
So it might be a little bit different from other, but generally the concept is the same, right?
Generally, the concept is the same.
Okay. So how does it work, and how, maybe first of all, why did you decide to transfer from masters or PhD?
It was always the goal before I left Nigeria, that I was going to, I actually thought either I finish my masters or I go straight to a direct PhD. I really wanted to work on that particular project for PhD, and I didn't want to work on finishing masters and do PhD with the same group. So I wanted to just do a PhD on that particular project. When the opportunity came up, I took it, full funding for a PhD program. I said, why not? And it fits in with many of my career goals, which I'm not going to share because it's kind of personal career goals. But it fits in with many of my career goals I'm working on. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's also, you don't do things because everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
So people, you don't have to do PhD in this life to become successful.
Yeah.
But there are some career paths, like Omo mentioned, that you imagine you want to become a professor. So nobody's going to tell you must get a PhD, right? So it's optional, right? So it's not a gold standard that you must do it. So, but think about how it aligns with your goals, and your aspirations, and then think about it. I know for me, based on what I want to do, getting a PhD is a necessity for me, right?
Yeah.
So how does it work? Do you just wake up one day and then you just change? From now I'm not a PhD student. You're telling from now.
No,
I'm a PhD student.
I think usually one person has to bring that conversation, either you as the grad student or the prof. In my case, I was thinking about it, I've thought about it, but I actually did not engage the conversation until my prof brought it up, and we had the conversation. And I actually did not decide for 5 months.
Oh, wow.
I did take my time. We had the conversation, and I just told me I'll make a decision. I took at least 5 to 6 months. I can't remember. It took at least 5 months before I made a decision that I was going to do it. After I made that decision, then we didn't have the plan in motion, so I then had to contact the department that I wanted to do this, and then they say, okay, you have a deadline. You need to do this after your first year and before your second year ends. You need to have that sweet spot between your first and end of second year to get it done. So I then had to, my committee was contacted, my committee looked at my progress so far as a master's student. They say, okay, your progress is good, we approve of this process. Then I was asked to write a qualifying exam report. Some schools will call it a PhD proposal. So you write you write a literature review on your research work, you write some of what you've done so far, and you propose what you're going to do. When I say propose, really in-depth proposal, objectives, what experiments you're going to carry out, how are you going to carry out those experiments, what's your hypothesis, what are your questions, what's the hypothesis, what's your question, what's your objectives, 3 main things. So you have to look at that right in depth. submit that. Different departments have different guidelines. My department had guidelines out on the website. I'll just tell even new grad students, go through the department website and look at the fine print,
Don't go on, don't say your friend is in biochemistry. You want to follow whatever biochemistry is doing to follow up with what chemistry is doing. Right? Whatever he's saying is even a little bit different from my own department, right? But it's just like the overall concept is overall the same.
So once the report was done, was forwarded to committee, then a date was set now for the qualifying exam. Different schools call it different things. My department calls it qualifying exam. Then
so that's different from the candidacy, right?
Different from candidacy. So for us, the candidacy is called the comprehensive. We don't call it candidacy. I've heard other schools call it candidacy.
We call it at U of A. We call it candidacy exam. Some other university call it comprehensive exam. So they give it different names. So anyhow they call it is PhD exam.
So for the qualifying, we had a date set up. Then you make a PowerPoint presentation. It was like 25-30 minutes presentation. The committee asks you questions.
So the committee is like your committee, or how was the constituent of the committee?
There is an exam. Actually, the committee was made up of your advisory committee and examining committee. So you had examiners who are actually not on your advisory committee. They are just there for the exam.
But you're plus a professor,
right? Plus my professor, So those who have been in your committee will be there. They are part of the examining committee. Then extra profs are added as part of the examining committee. After the exam, not all of them will be on your advisory committee, but they are there just for the exam.
Absolutely.
So that's actually a very good question, because at that point I was like, why is my committee so full? So I asked my prof, like, why do I have everybody? He was like, oh, this is your examining committee. Like, not everybody will be on your advisory committee eventually.
Sorry about the noise, so we just want to make this as natural as possible. So just forget about the noise, focus on this video, okay?
So then you give a presentation, you ask questions, it was 2 rounds. You get asked questions based on your presentation. First round, each prof gets at least, I think, 5 to 10 minutes to ask questions. There's called the committee chair, who kind of like moderates the process to make sure everybody's on time. Then once,
I said that is just so much how so at the University of Alberta, in my own department, the human nutrition, so the way we do, whatever he mentioned now is how we do our PhD candidacy examination. So PhD candidacy, maybe in your 2nd or 3rd year of your PhD, you do that big exam. You have to pass that exam to move on, because that's what proves to them that you really have that capacity to do your PhD research, right? So how it works in my department is, first, like you said, whoever brings the conversation, your supervisor or the prof, or yourself, then you decide, and you write a proposal, and then you prepare a presentation. You actually so we have what is called the graduate program committee. Okay, so this committee, there is a program chair, and then there are about because of the nature of my department, there are 4 unit divisions in my department: human nutrition, animal science, and about 4 of them. So we have 4 different grad students in that committee, and then we have the professor. We have maybe about 3 or 4 professors that are part of that committee. So they try to pick the professors based on like different expertise in the department. It's one from each division, right? So they send out this report to us as a committee prior to the exam. We read through
So even the grad students get the reports? On the graduate
so I get
program committee?
Yes, so I get a report that the students submit. I read through it, and then on that day, the person gives like a 10 to 15 minutes presentation, and then we as the committee ask questions to the student.
Oh, really?
So I have an opportunity to ask questions to students that are transferring to PhD. It's that's why I said volunteering. I think we mentioned that in the previous. So I actually volunteered to be part of that program committee. So I questioned the student, and after everything, we have to vote. Do you what do you think about this student?
Really?
So if there are recommendations, if we feel that this student does not actually,
that's actually a very good experience for you as a grad student.
So there have been times where we say, this person doesn't really have that PhD vibe, or you can see potentials, like, because these are master students trying to transfer to a PhD, right? but there are one or two things you see. For example, why do you want to transfer?
Yeah.
You know, why do you want to transfer? If somebody just say, I want to transfer because my supervisor said I should transfer, is even though the supervisor brought in that conversation, you can't just say that.
Yeah.
It's just like saying you did this experiment, you are doing your candidacy, and they ask you, why did you have this, why did you do this? So you just say, because my supervisor said so.
Yeah.
It's not an excuse. It's not
a scientific answer.
Yeah, it's not a scientific answer, you know. So it has to be very genuine. And then we've had cases where we say, oh, maybe go rewrite your report. We've had cases to say, okay, there are some things we are not clear of, you know, go and you know, think about your objectives again. You know, depends, we as the committee overall. So that's how it works for us, right?
Yeah.
And then the candidacy is where the candidacy is now, just what you described. Now you have examining committee that are like experts in different areas. There is a program chair. You do a presentation, a report, and then they question you for about 2 to 3 hours, right? So the transfer, the questioning doesn't last more than 20 minutes, 20 to 25 minutes in my department, right? But the candidacy exam is really when they're going to ask you like a bunch of questions, right? So, but do find out how it works for your department. So how do you know if you pass or if they approve it? Do you know right away or?
So after the first round of questions, you do a second round based on your report. Then when you are done, you are asked to leave the room. Oh, okay. And the committee decides. Then they vote. Then they draft a minutes. And they forward the minutes to the secretary, who then sends it to you. So that takes maybe a few days. So officially, you know in 1 or 2 days. Yeah. Unofficially, when your prof comes out from the room, you can see his face and know if it's good or not. So
when I did my candidacy, after I did my candidacy, like when I was actually playing video game on my. I was actually playing video game, and after that, I was watching a comedy, and someone came and asked, "Oh, you just finished your exam. How did it go?" I was like, "I have no doubt. You will, even you will know." Right? To be honest, when you do very well, you will know. If you really fumble a lot, and you will know that they are not comfortable, you know, with it. And then by the time they give you recommendations and everything, they're going to tell you, you know, how your performance and everything, and then they will give you. So for us, for the candidates, I'm talking about candidacy now, they are going to give you 3 options. 1, pass, conditionally pass or fail. So if you pass, there is no, you just go. If there's conditional pass, maybe they will say the condition is you need to rewrite your report, or the condition is, I'm talking about candidates now, the condition is you need to take this course to learn more about this. You know, the condition can be you need to read maybe these papers or 5 papers that are recommended, and then you come and then do that. Just one quick question: for if you do qualify an exam, then the candidacy structure, is it different from
it's
qualifying?
It's actually very similar. The difference is for qualifying, you write a proposal, at least for my university and my department, write a proposal on your research. For comprehensive, your candidacy, you actually write a detailed review or report on a research area that is not essentially your research. So if you work, for example, on, let me see, EGFR as a receptor in cancer, that's a research work. You can write a review on some different targets in cancer. It cannot be that same target you're working on for your research.
Absolutely.
So then you write a report, then you actually propose experiments you're going to do for that particular target that is different from your target. So they're going to ask you, they're basically seeing how well you can do when it comes to designing experiments, designing planning. So I think it's the same process, just difference is the review, the reports.
So ours is actually a little bit easier, I will say, because for us, whatever, so in Memorial University, that's actually how, when I left, that's how they do their PhD. They give you like a topic and then you write something on that. But at the University of Alberta, in my department, you actually write a proposal on your topic
for your candidacy
exam. So exactly, you are defending your project. So every reading that you are going to do is going to be related to your. So there is this. They are going to. So the way it works, you write a proposal on your research but the question, your research is going to be like 30% of the question. The other 70% is going to be neighborhood area. Let's say your research now is in, like my research is in, lipids, right? So I have to learn about carbohydrates, I have to learn about proteins, I have to learn about nucleotides, right? I have to learn some related things. So my professor will always call it onions, right? So your topic is the core, and then you begin to learn things all around. But overall, just learn how it works in your department, and then put in all the best effort in it,
Yeah, I'll say there are always like fine prints on the department website on what's required. Print them out and go through them, all the breakdown, follow department guidelines. They will really don't use Peter's school guidelines for yours. Like,
or is that question your prof? That's not how they do it in other department, right? One last thing, is you can talk to people. Talk to people in your department. Don't talk to people that are in other department. Talk to people in your department, and see how they talk to those that did it and passed it and have good mindset, because you're going to talk to a lot of people and they're going to tell you it's too hard, and they're going to just scare you so much. Talk to people that have good mindset mentality about it, and then put in your best effort. Definitely you're going to pass. If you are doing that, you are doing your transfer exam, it's effort and read and proposal. And whether you are doing your candidacy, it's also read, study, and definitely you will pass and then continue your PhD. Okay, we're going to end this video now. Once again, thank you so much, Omo, for agreeing to come to University of Alberta.
It's beautiful.
6 hours trip, right?
Yeah, 6 hours trip
to University of Alberta. So thank you so much for
by
coming
road,
to
6
share
hours by road.
Yeah. So maybe next time, by the time we have our private jet, it's gonna be a few minutes, right? So thank you so much, and then if you haven't subscribed, do it to subscribe to this video, and then like so that I get a good algorithm from YouTube, and then we can see more videos. Once again, thank you for coming, and I'll see you in the next video.